Hello there, Parth Sharma this side, bringing you some chess classics. Do take time to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you are already subscribed, then do press the bell icon for the notifications. And if you like my work, then do consider supporting me on Patreon and PayPal. The links are in the description because your support is my motivation, which keeps me going. So I continue looking at the best games, the best chess games, my favorite chess games from the 13th World Chess Champion Garry Kasparov, and who many people consider to be the greatest chess player of all time. And in my previous video, I showed you my game number 15, which was the game between Yaron Pickett and Garry Kasparov in 1989. And this time I'll be showing you another game, and this was a rapid game. This was the game between Kasparov and Vladimir Kramnik from 1994 PCA Rapid Tournament. And in this game, Garry is white, Kramnik is black, and he opens with e4. Kramnik responds with Sicilian. Yes, that was 1994. He responded it with Sicilian, but later he came up with a very witty plan to counter this. So we won't delve into that. We will look into this game only. And Kasparov plays knight c3, the closed Sicilian. But after some moves, the position transforms into a chameleon variation of the Sicilian defense, but if you want to say it, it is somewhat Sicilian Taimanov system. But after e5, then comes knight d b5, and we have seen this Paulsen variation very much. You see d6, but in Paulsen variation there is e6 rather than e5. So the basic idea is to fix this knight here, and not only preventing white to castle. Let's say after knight d6 check, bishop takes, queen takes. That this doesn't not only prevent castling but also hinders the development of this bishop. Not only that, the bishop is always be tied up in defense of this pawn along with this knight, and white's development on the queen side, once bishop comes here and castling, there will be double pressure on this pawn. So to prevent that, d6 opens this line, and also d6 is protected by the bishop and the queen. Bishop g5 placing the knight into a pin, a6 kicking the knight, because if you had played bishop here, then that would have ruined the pawn structure. You couldn't have taken with the bishop because d6 would have been hanging. So kicking the knight first, and knight goes to a3. b5 threatening b4. One of the knights has to move, and knight d5 taking advantage of the pin. So that's why this cannot happen. Bishop e7, and now bishop takes, and c3. So that's a good move, stopping knight d4 b4, because that would have been a very good outpost for this knight. Kramnik castles, knight c2, rook b8, and now Kasparov decides to play h4, and they had this variation in the same year in the previous game as well. Can't recollect the tournament, where Kasparov played bishop e2, and after bishop g5 castles knight e7, suddenly Kramnik's position was looking very good in that. But anyway, coming to that, here after rook b8 he plays h4. Then comes knight e7, which was in my opinion a misstep. And why do I say so? Because he missed this beautiful shot. Knight takes f6, check. What does this do? This ruins the pawn structure and opens this line of king. So rook here and here, possibly queen g4. If this bishop isn't here, then that would be annoying for black. G takes is forced, and now queen d2, preparing queen h6. Things can be turn really ugly very soon. Rook h3, rook g3 is in the plan, although not at the moment because the bishop controls this h3 square, but still the plan is in the air. Bishop b7, attacking the pawn, and here Kasparov plays bishop d3, but there was one interesting idea here. Let's have a look at the move knight e3 here. That would have been interesting, and there are few possible options to play. Let's have a look at one of the options like d5. Well, the main purpose of is to d5 and you will just take it, and another option is to capture the pawn on e4, the free piece, but then comes decisive attack, knight g4, and there isn't any good way to defend against that, because knight g6, then you attack the bishop, and if you move the bishop, then f6 drops, or maybe not f6, but queen h6 might come, and h5 will also be in the air. Let's say bishop b7, then queen h6 is deadly. So after knight g4, if he plays bishop f5, well, you can just take on f6. But then after king g7, knight h5 check is decisive. Also after knight g4, if you play king h8, well, this is too ugly because knight takes f6 and queen f6 comes with tremendous power. So that would have been an option to play knight e3 in this position. Instead he plays bishop d3. There we go, defending the pawn. Kramnik plays d5, breaking into the center. Good move. E takes d, queen takes d, and now a critical decision to make. Should I try to defend this pawn, or should I move my king to safety, but then a2 hangs? So here he allows a2 pawn to be taken by playing long castles. But here you cannot take on a2 because rook h3 is too deadly. The queen cannot check because knight is covering a1 square. So after castles, here Kramnik plays e4, just closing this diagonal, very important indeed. And after bishop e2, only now does he take the pawn, because now this line is closed, and if you play this, then the queen will return and the king probably would be safe, but there would still be question marks on king safety. And here Kasparov should have played queen f4, but queen h6 isn't too bad either. That's also a good move, threatening queen takes pawn, and rook h3, rook f3, rook h3, rook g3 thereafter. Queen e6 defends the pawn on f6, knight d4, and the queen is attacked, and there aren't any good squares because you have to keep defending this. For example, if you play queen d6 here, then bishop g4 is tremendous here, threatening knight e6, which will threaten rook takes queen and the mate on g7, and that would have been disastrous for black. So understandably, after knight d4, Kramnik plays queen b6, so still keeping an eye and putting his queen to safety. But then comes Kasparov's plan, rook h3, threatening this and this. King h8 is somewhat forced. He could have played knight here, but then h5 would have kicked that knight off. Bishop g4, there we go. Rook g8, and here there is a very tricky decision to make. What to do here? If you found that out tricky decision, that's good. But in this position, Kasparov plays knight e6, which was a blunder. Possibility would have been to play after rook g8. He could have played bishop here. That would have been a greater interference, because then after rook here, queen f4, which happened in the game, we will see that there isn't any much to do. Okay, then bishop d5 might come, but then h5 would be tremendous. We would see that in the game, that's why I'm not covered it in the variation. But knight e6 was the wrong interference. Rook g6, the only move in the position to keep black into the game. Queen f4 is the only move which keeps white into the game, attacking the rook, and this was the chance that Kramnik missed here. He should have played bishop d5 here. The queen would have defended the rook, and by playing this, he would have simply eliminated this knight, probably not by bishop, but by the pawn, because now rook defends the pawn on f6. However, he plays rook e8, which was a mistake, because after rook d6, suddenly this position looks tremendous for Kasparov, because all his pieces are coming to the party, and there is already chance to play h5. And of course, I should mention that after rook e8, if you go for h5 first, well, this doesn't work, because then rook takes g4, queen takes g4, queen takes e6, queen takes, f takes, rook d7, and bishop d5. Black not only has one pawn, but also has two minor pieces for a rook, and this rook doesn't look well on d7. So that would have been winning for black. Hence, after rook e8, rook d6 was necessary. Knight d5, counterpunch. If rook takes, then knight takes. And this was the key moment where Kasparov showed us a beautiful combination and a winning combination, which just seals the deal for him. I will give you some time, take a pause and think. Well, if you found that out, brilliant. If you want to enjoy the show, h5 and see how that works. Knight takes f4, black has a queen, h takes g6, and if you try to take this one, then that would be disastrous, because then h7 will fall, and that would be end of the world, basically. h7, and then this, and then this. Queen takes, rook takes h7, which what happened in the game. King g8, g takes f7, check in the game. King takes, and he gets a queen, and what a good position. From f4 to e8, he brought his queen. Wow. Have you seen anything like that? Well, I've seen it. Knight takes e6, bishop f5 check, king g7, queen g6 check, king f8, queen takes f6 check, king e8, and bishop takes e6, threatening this. And he should have continued the game by e3, but this was a rapid tournament and Kramnik was running very low on time. He was under 2 minutes, even at the move 25th, where he played knight d5, or I should say the move rook e8. He was under 2 minutes the moment when he made that move. So here Kramnik plays queen f8, which was a blunder, and can you guess the move which finishes things off? Well, if you guessed it, brilliant. And if you want to see what the move was, bishop d7 check. and here Kramnik resigned. So that tournament was better for Kasparov, and he had some great battles against Kramnik. Sometimes Kramnik won, sometimes Kasparov won. In classicals, Kramnik had the upper hand, but overall, it was Kasparov who had the upper hand against Kramnik. Regarding the time controls, and these players have played superb games throughout their careers. Obviously, there is only one move here in this position is to take the bishop, but then you lose the queen. And yeah, the tournament was awesome for him. He shared the first place with Vasily Ivanchuk with 7 out of 10. So not a bad result either. So in my next video, I would be bringing game number 13, and to find out, then do stick to my channel, and as I said, and keep supporting me because your support is my motivation which keeps me going, as I repeated earlier. I hope you liked my video. I hope you liked my analysis, and thanks for watching. Till then, stay safe. Cheers. Bye.